I am Pavan. I am from ClicQA. I am BB Technology and Innovation. We take care of software testing from ClicQA. We are an independent testing company. And today I am the moderator for this topic, cloud computing. And it's a very interesting topic, and I think everybody are excited to know how cloud computing really means to the BFSI. And let us know from our panel. Panel, thanks for joining. And I'd like to start with a question about the cloud computing and what cloud computing means to BFSI and how cloud is adopted in current scenarios in banks to give better customer experience. So I request if anybody can really answer this question.
So cloud is something which is not very new to the environment, especially in the IT or BFSI segment. If you see a decade back, we had application service provider, which we call, unfortunately, that terminology didn't run too long. It was not such a successful model. But eventually that we translated or transformed into the cloud areas, wherein there is a software-defined network or hardware infrastructure or storage, computation, everything gradually moved to the cloud environment. So I will put it to the Indian context basically. This is the right time when I say that with respect to the cloud computing, because a lot of disruptions which basically are very common terminology which are being used nowadays is the disruption. So that this technological disruption that we are talking about with respect to the cloud, there is a lot of activities which are happening. So let me put it this way, the public-private partnership is one of the terminology which earlier was used in infrastructure development projects. So large-scale infrastructure development project was entirely when government came up with this concept of PPP model, right? So today, when the government, when the Prime Minister of this country talks about that we are going for 7.5 trillion kind of economy by 2020. So these all kind of economy where we have entire things driven by the digital, some of the precursor what we have seen through GST or direct benefit transfer in 2017 and 18. So these are the kind of initiatives and the kind of disruptions which it is going to bring will require definitely a very large scale infrastructure. Or when I say infrastructure, this is the digital infrastructure I am talking about. So that kind of digital infrastructure can only be delivered when you have a public-private partnership model in place. So with respect to the cloud terms, when I say that public-private partnership in the cloud context, these are going to be the public cloud. And with respect to the public cloud, a lot of innovations which are happening. So I would just like to showcase one of the examples. All the sponsors of this particular event, somewhere I think there are 17 sponsors. Out of this 17 sponsors, there are 3 sponsors who might be a decade old company. Rest 14 sponsors of this event itself are the companies who are in the new age technologies. And you can see this very clearly that the 14 companies, they are from the 4 new technological concepts. So the requirement of the new technology, the scale what we are talking about, where this public cloud is going to fulfill a large role, that's the one aspect. When we talk about the current political environment of the country also, there's a lot of thrust going on from the government side, especially all the cabinet ministers from the various departments. They themselves are involved in various kind of initiatives because I was part of a couple of events wherein that was a global event wherein Ministry of IT, Prime Minister Office, PMOs, they were very actively involved, and this is a message which are going to the large, or in fact to the Indian citizen, also to the industries and various other sectors, that how at a policy level, how at a framework level, government is bringing a new concept, new things, and how they try to support the industry. Even if we all recollect today morning, we have seen various government officials at a principal secretary level who were the part of the initial session. So that itself gives a message to the industry that how the government, the bureaucrats, the politicians, they are there to take this journey of the digital disruptions, especially to the scale when we talk about the digital India having an economy of 7.5 trillion by 2020 or so, and that all has to be achieved through the public cloud. And with respect, coming back to your questions on the BFSI segment, the core banking aspect of any BFSI segments are not in the cloud as of today. And I can vouch for this statement because that is the current trend. However, nonetheless, most of the BFSI large or mid-segment banking organization, they have a lot of integration with various fintech companies, regtech companies, or even legal tech companies, and all these companies have some kind of solutions which are deployed either on the public cloud or even at the private cloud. Even the traditional banks, they have moved some of their non-critical applications to public cloud or even to a private cloud of environment. So things are happening. It's all that we have to see that in next a year or two, how these are going to shape up further. And I'm very, very positive and optimistic that these are going to take this cloud implementation, be it the nature of public cloud or Apple cloud. So it is going to come up, and that's the BFSI as well.
Okay. Thank you. You like to have it.
Yes, well, regarding cloud computing, before an idea is to be implemented, it should be first of all accepted. To quote it, last year when Bhim Aadhaar was implemented by Government of India, it took more than 6 months for NPCI to accept the fact that the solution developed by TCS will be implemented through cloud. After 6 months of a lot of debate, they allowed the banks to accept that particular app. It was by coincidence. Last week, when I asked one of my officers in my IT department to respond to the test on cloud computing, I was wondering how she will be in a position to convince my officers, rest of the officers, to go for cloud computing or to understand about cloud computing. And the way she expressed was very simple, I can say. She asked, all of you have 4-wheelers? Yes. Then, leaving your 4-wheelers and going by Ola is just cloud computing, nothing beyond that. She simply explained, I was really mesmerized. Then she tried to explain. You have a lot of inventory with you, 4-wheelers. What do? You bring it to the bank and leave it there. They stand idle. On the contrary, leave off this inventory, don't pay your EMIs, don't do anything, just hire it all every day. You are richer by so much. So that's how in BFSI sector, particularly the public sector banks, we can sell an idea. And she went on explaining what are the benefits of having Ola rather than this. And one hour she tried to explain. Instead of having a computer server at your office or at your DC center, if it is put somewhere. So benefits are enormous. Security and other concerns we will discuss later once we go to the next subject. Initially, to sell the idea of cloud computing is very essential, and it is going to be the future. And most of the BFSIs, sooner or later, will be accepting the idea.
Thank you.
About the BFSI sector, in terms of the cloud computing, definitely each and every banks are having their own concerns. Okay, whether they are going to leverage that particular cloud fully or not. Definitely, there are a couple of applications which are not critical, as Mithilesh has already explained, like my emails, my HRM system, my other sites, my intranet. That can be convert it from my on-prem solution to the cloud. But definitely, the way India is growing in terms of the digitalization of the entire ecosystem, cloud is going to play a major role. And definitely, other kind of an applications which you are talking about, Hotstar, some Amazon Prime, say Netflix and all. You are aware about that in terms of the Hotstar during the IPL. There are around 8.5 billions of the hits happened throughout the entire IPL session, and people are talking. People are watching the entire IPL season over the mobile. How it's going to be supported such a huge number of hits? Definitely, it is not on-prem solution. It will always be a cloud. So about the BFSI sector, security are the concerns. The customer data is a major concerns on that. If those things are addressed in the near future, definitely the BFSI is going to be a game changer in terms of it.
Okay. I like to ask another question. Now we are talking about more like moving some of the applications towards the public cloud. We are talking about the non-critical applications. Can we elaborate what are those non-critical applications? How the security has to be really ensured to safeguard these kind of non-critical applications? Can I?
Well, applications per se, before coming to what kind of applications that need to be moved across, generally, of course, it's supposed to be non-critical. And the most important thing, the premises of this kind of a data has to be within the geography of India, because you know the regulations, the RBA Master Direction for that matter, or for that matter, the upcoming bill, it's already up, data privacy bill which has been put across. That again is emphasizing the fact that there is a particular component that needs to sit within the premises of India. So this is the basis. Now, coming to the security aspect, I want to make one thing very, very clear. The underlying principle as far as the hardware is concerned, you have technical issues because the underlying architecture is an Intel architecture. Intel architecture is the basis for AMD or any processor which is there. You know very well, the underlying technology by itself is having a major problem, which is sometimes underplayed. Sorry, this is my personal opinion, but the fact is there is an issue which came up slightly in the early part of this particular year. That's called meltdown as well as the spectrum. This is a problem which is there as far as the hardware is concerned, where what happens is there is something called speculative execution, meaning it will interpret what kind of instructions. These are all instructions that when it comes to the microprocessor, when it happens to operate, the next instruction, what exactly is going to be the activity which it's going to perform, execute. But while doing that, the prediction need not necessarily be the same. Sometimes it so happens it will not be going, it might go to different engines within the processor. But if in case the speculative execution and prediction is wrong, then it has to wait and go about doing some other activity. So this prediction period can be very well understood by some other process which is also running. Now, coming to the context of cloud, there are multiple such things of two different organizations, multiple organizations will be all running together. And it's all going to be time shared. The processor, particular processor will have at bursty manner, they will be performing the operations. So they will be able to interpret. And if in case the other organization which is also sharing the same cloud infrastructure, if in case it is a rogue organization which you do not know, then the real problem starts. So this is the underlying issue which is existing. Well, there are basic fixes that have been put across at this juncture, but it will take a very, very long time because Intel, or for that matter, any processor manufacturing OEMs has to go back to the drawing board, redesign the whole thing, which will take years. So with this as the basis, we should still work. We cannot say we cannot adopt, otherwise we have to be really do a standstill operation of this until that particular point of time, which is impossible. We have to try by the way, but yes, we know mishaps will be there, but we need to secure it by putting the necessary controls, which I will come to it at a later point of time.
So, just to add what they mentioned, with respect to the security aspect on the cloud, if you see the government initiative which has happened in the last year or so, wherein the MITI they came up with Megraj policy. So the objective of, because we all can expect that the government should do this, do that and all this. But the important aspect for any government to have a framework to come up with a policy which can facilitate taking new technology or solution to the next level. So Megraj policy, the objective was that the adoption of public cloud can be made more simpler. So that was one objective. Now, post Megraj policy, government again came up with the thought that there are a lot of organizations who want to offer public cloud as a solution. But the challenge was that again a lot of enterprises were very reluctant whether they want to move on a public cloud or not. So government took another initiative where they say that those public cloud service providers, they have to go through certain certification and assurance program. So all 20 plus CSPs has applied for that particular program, and out of which 12 got certified as per the HTQC standard, which is the government defined standard on cloud. Now this gives a kind of assurance whenever we as an enterprise, when we talk about moving our solutions or any products from our on-prem to a public cloud. So definitely there is an assurance that okay, this 12 cloud service providers are really good because they have been through a certain security program and which are being accredited by certain independent body. So that's the one aspect. The second aspect from the security point of view, moving to public cloud, that doesn't give you a comfort or keep you away from your own responsibility, right? So we really need to understand that what is my responsibility as an organization whenever we are moving our application, data or any business to cloud. The other aspect is that what are the responsibilities which the CSP has. The security related responsibility what CSP has and what are the responsibilities what we have. So that is why we call it as a shared security responsibility, right? So all the hardware underlying infra, hypervisor up till that, so something which is being controlled by the cloud service provider. Above that, which is your operating system, databases, applications, whatever you are going to post on that environment, wherein right from the user lifecycle management. So whether your employee, your customer, whoever are going to be onboarded on that particular platform, so that user access management, user lifecycle management, that is entirely the responsibility of the organization who are moving their application or business to the cloud. So the shared security responsibility is one of the key aspects what we really need to understand. It never be the case that you move to a cloud and then rest assured that you are not responsible for anything. Only the CSP is responsible. That is not the case. So those integrity has to be understood accordingly. The matters has to be defined to implement security.
Can you say cloud service provider?
Yeah, can you speak up?
When you say cloud service provider should take certain measures, and when we write our SLAs with any of the cloud service provider, so what are the key things which we really need to look on? So any RDA framework or?
If you see all these regulators or even the nodal agencies, regulators when I talk about is RBI or SEBI, and or you talk about TRIBE for the matter of telecom. When you talk about insurance, it is more IRTA. So these all 4-5 key regulators who operate in India, they all have come up with some kind of guidelines in the last couple of years. So those guidelines, if I have to, if I just summarize the bullet points, So basically 4 or 5 key things they all talk about, either through the master circular issued by RBI or the and again. But the objective is that they all have focus on information security. They all suggest that whatever application or business or products which you are moving to the cloud, it has to be thoroughly thought of. When I say thoroughly thought of, it means that at an organization level, you actually conduct your risk assessment. You have to have a proper business risk assessment, whether you really are in a position to move that particular business in a cloud environment, and you will live with the risk which is there after moving that to cloud environment. That's the second aspect. The third thing, what this circulars also recommend, or the guidelines say that that particular environment has to be an auditable environment. It's not that you move to that cloud environment and you just forgo everything. You should be in a position wherein the contract or the SLA has to be defined in a way where, if required, you can definitely go and you can review your set of environment. So that's the third important thing. Fourth, as I recollect, it is more on transition or exit. How you have defined your SLA when you are signing a SLA with the CSPs. So, like, there could be 2 situations. If you are not happy with the services of the cloud service provider, you may like to wind up the entire relation with the CSPs. However, there could be a situation where you feel that the CSP is not good enough in order to scale your services. You may like to move from one CSP to another CSP. So how is that transition clause being defined? Where are the legal, compliance and other departments' roles come into picture? And whether are you in a position to safeguard your interest, your stakeholder interest, customers' interest? But it shouldn't happen that if you are moving from one CSP to another CSP, your services and products are down for a week or 10 days. That is not something which is acceptable to the board or to your stakeholders. Third, the last thing what I feel is, which is one of the key things for all these regulators' point of view, is that dispute resolution. So how are you going to address the dispute when there is a breach of SLA? Because I will not quote the name of those CSPs, but eventually they all become legal entities in Indian geography, within that Indian sovereignty as well. However, a couple of years back, a couple of MNCs, CSPs, all their SLAs were very much in line with their APAC SLAs or MENA SLAs or European SLAs, to a large extent North America SLA also. It was never being drafted or defined with respect to the Indian legal requirement, but now that is not the case. It is pretty much in line with the expectation of Indian judiciary, IPC and so forth. So that is important aspect, that if you arrive to a point where there is a conflict, how are you going to resolve it? So that is one of the aspects. So these 4, 5 are the key important things whenever you are coming up with the SLA with any CSP. You definitely have to look upon right from the risk, security, audit, then your transition, exit, and finally the resolution in terms of the dispute.
I would like to add, apart from the regulatory perspective, definitely we have to adhere whatever the regulators are saying, and we have to comply whatever they have given in the master circular guideline. So I would like to just add a couple of technical things in that. Definitely, we are always thinking about the vertical security. So for example, if I am having a couple of blocks, so I am installing my antivirus, my IDS, my couple of other applications can detect the entire threat to that particular box. I am in favor of the horizontal security. So that suppose if I am having a couple of cloud servers next to each other, I should have the horizontal security as well, so that I am capturing the entire loss travels through all the servers. Plus I am securing my underlying entire network. So that is number one. Second thing is that we have to go ahead with the latest technologies and other technology which is helping to encrypt the data which is traversed through the entire network. Third thing is that we should have a layered encryption algorithms. That means we are having, say for example, if I am talking about enterprise mobility. So most of the couple of big corporates are having the EMM implemented for their sales force, who can do the field running job and uploading the data over the cloud. So if my EMM is also not secure, so I am creating a layer on the layer, okay, so that it will secure my EMM technology as well. Apart from that, definitely we should have a proper SLA with CSPs. We should have proper control on that. And I would recommend one more thing in that. We should have a regular BAPT, or I would say health checkup of the entire cloud infrastructure, which will strengthen my security. So this is all about the technical area.
Well, one thing which is very important from the cloud perspective, which we need to actually imbibe from on-prem solutions. See, as far as on-prem is concerned, we have various technologies put across to secure the entire data. Be it from the system perspective, we put the patches, the anti-malware solutions and all that stuff. And then when it comes to that of the network and various other things, we put across the OSI layer different security controls. It could be firewalls, it could be WAF, it could be different kind of things you put it across. Access control, authentication, all that stuff. But when you happen to deploy the same thing in cloud, people first of all should not think the responsibility if in case there is an issue is there lies with that of the cloud service provider. It is definitely not. The responsibility and also the accountability definitely lies with that of, yes, partially the responsibility is with that of the service provider, but ultimately it is the organization which deploys these data. And particularly for BFSI, there is absolutely no kind of a difference that comes up. In fact, they are more responsible and fully accountable because they are handling the money. Okay? Now, coming to the security on the cloud, you need to see that there are basic security which is being offered when it comes to any cloud deployment. The major problem is people do not go and understand, analyze what kind of security need to be really put across as far as all these deployments are concerned. Whether it is really required in a cloud environment, see, it's different. Within an on-prem solution, when it is an enterprise network, the access is limited only to the employees of the organization or the service providers. But when it comes to cloud, access is open in a public environment, I'm talking. So under that situation, the kind of security controls that need to be put across, basis also the kind of MOU you have with that of the service provider need to be very clearly stated. So now, all the service provider, without the basic security component, you have something called the orchestration layer of security. We need to ensure that the right set with the right configuration is put across. This is one part. The other part is, when as Mithilesh was mentioning, whenever data is on cloud, there is a primary copy and a DR copy, but if in case you don't opt for a DR copy, it will not exist. But the primary copy itself, and to ensure that it's an equivalent of a RAID, there are two minimum copies that exist. If in case that, God forbid, there is an issue with that of the primary, the second one will kick over. If that is not happening, absolutely what would rather happen is that it will be a failure. So that's the reason they're doing it. The life cycle management is what exactly I'm coming from. Once exit, we should ensure that the copies which you are talking about, everything is erased. That is something which has to be until it pens, it's a pending agreement which we need to have as far as the service provider is concerned. And then one last point which I want to emphasize is application security has to be a complete process, and you need to really monitor 24/7, 365. That's the way it is.
Okay. From a banker's perspective, the main requirement is 100% confidentiality. So encryption is essential there. And then availability. Often we heard about these DDoS attacks and their possible malicious attacks, which may make unavailability situations. That should be fully avoided. And last but not least, as a banker, who are sensitive about pricing. If these three considerations are taken care of, I think there is a very good case moving towards the cloud in case of BFSI.
Okay, thank you. We are talking about security regarding the cloud computing. But how about the digital transformation? Everybody are moving towards agile development. What are the other aspects from the quality assurance we have to take care? How the testing or quality assurance is transforming with the latest trend?
When we talk about cloud migration, we talk about private and public, and when it's more like a private, so we modernize our application and then deploy to the cloud, and we don't see any problems there. When it goes to the cloud, I think the behavior changes. So I would say like at any stage, like there's a process of testing which is required, and that's why ClicQA is specialized about, and we do all sorts of testings, modernizing the private cloud structure and also the cloud-to-cloud structure. Interest of
we have given half an hour just taking that. You please continue. I'm sorry for that.
So cloud to cloud, again, even the behavior of the application changes, and that's where automation, performance, and security, all these measures have to be again taken care, even if it is from cloud to cloud. So, for example, like we have our product, which is like elets, which is in AWS, and when we try to shift it to Azure, like though the functionality is same product, but it took some challenges. Like we had to undergo all types of testing, and then we are migrating ourselves to Azure also. We're already ready with AWS, and we are getting ready with Azure. So testing is required for private and public.
I like to add to that point. Most of them are traditionally moving their infrastructure, whatever the application is hosted with, they're directly moving towards IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Now, there are many vendors out there, let's say like Azure or AWS. They are giving a platform as a service where we have to leverage their APIs or interfaces so that the cost optimization can be there and even the performance can be expanded. To add to that point.
Absolutely, yeah. The CapEx and the OpEx, that's where people are trying to go for the public cloud next time. We can keep on
I'm sorry guys, we have to give it half an hour and we are done with the time. And our panel members are available here. If you have any questions, you can directly talk to them and get it clarified. Thank you so much.